Now, it is my pleasure to introduce Alan Sandler, who's going to share his insights and get us all excited about the opportunities that lie ahead. Please join me in welcoming him.
It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Thank you, Lindsay. Welcome, hello, hola, ciao, bonjour, ni hao, konnichiwa, and namaste. In the words of Mr. Rogers, welcome to our beautiful neighborhood. So I was wondering what to talk about this year. All the pressure on me, and I thought, you know what? Maybe we'll just go around the room and everyone can introduce themselves, starting with, no, totally kidding, dad joke. Returning guests, can you raise your hand if you were here either last year or in San Diego 2 years ago? Wow, and your badges should be turning green if you were. But thank you for doing that. I was just trying to figure out if I refer back to the comments that I made on stage a couple of the last years, if some of my jokes will land with this group or totally strike out as normal. Those of you who are in San Diego heard me say, I promise not to sell for at least 10 years. If you were here last year, I said 9. So now I'm promising not to sell for at least 8 more years. So if my math is right, you got to come back in 2032 to see if I kept my promise. Let me be perfectly transparent. There's really only one season per year that I ever consider the idea of selling Sandler Partners. It's the month, weeks, days, minutes, hours, and seconds before I got to stand up here in front of all of you. This year, my stage fear and anxiety is mixed with a heavy heart. A few months ago, I lost my lifelong friend, and Sandler Partners lost a family member. Brad Driver was Sandler Partners Director, Partner Advocacy, and he truly embodied the role. He was also like a brother to me for 47 years, and no matter what challenges I was dealing with, whether it was family, friends, or business related, I could always count on him to make fun of me in the situation, but in a way that reminded me that he was always on my side. His laughter, especially at my own worries, helped me sit back and laugh at it all too. Brad always seemed to make fun of me at just the right moment. When I was 12 and Brad was 13, we met in a remedial summer school grammar class. Some might say it was a class for slow learners. I might say it was for boys that had no interest in what a dangling participle was. You got the joke, dangling participle. The teacher resembled the Wicked Witch from any old Disney movie. And one day, she literally grabbed me by the ear. I might not have done the homework, I might not have known the answer, and I might have given an immature, sarcastic reply. But she literally pulled me out of the seat, tells me I'm a moron, and threatens to call my parents. All this is going down while the bell rings, and we're heading out to recess. So I'm embarrassed, I'm holding back tears that are about to fill up my eyes, and then Brad, who's been watching the whole situation, just looks at me and starts laughing. And then we both start cracking up. There were so many adventures and misadventures that I shared with Brad, and a lot of them took place when we were skiing, like this time when he snuck up behind me and whacked me on the butt with a ski pole. But when I was 16, we took on a double black diamond ski run in Vailsback Bowls during what turned out to be a historic winter storm, and we got caught in a whiteout. Now, if you're dumb enough to listen to your buddy who says, it'll be fun, we'll get some fresh powder, when everyone else has already skied down the mountain to avoid major storms, you might be making an ill-advised decision. Sure enough, I accidentally skied into a gully that I couldn't see, major wipeout. One knee hits my chin, sending my teeth to chip as it sliced through my tongue and my lip, and then the other knee smashed into my nose, just to create a little more blood. Picture me on the ground there, groggy, in pain, bleeding all over my clothes and all over the snow. I'm freezing, and because we can only see a few feet in the back bowl, I have no idea where we are or if anyone else is even on the mountain, much less ski patrol, and there were no cell phones back then. So I'm starting to think, woe is me, this might be the end. But then Brad skis down the gully, looks at me, and immediately starts laughing, and that was my cue that everything was going to be okay. But there really was just something about growing up with Brad that made me think there was no situation, challenge, or journey that we couldn't survive and even laugh at. So I might need someone else to laugh at me in the future, and if you want to audition later, fire off your jokes, just let me know. In fact, if Brad were here today, he'd be teasing me about how much I freak out about these opening remarks, while also reassuring me that most of you, surprisingly, want to hear from me. I remember a couple years ago, down in San Diego, just before I took the stage, Brad said, "Don't worry, it's not like skiing in a whiteout." I replied something like, "I'm just going to get up on stage and either freeze or just start mumbling." And he just laughed and said, "You've got this." And after I finished, he'd come find me sometime during the day, give me a hug and say, "You were great." So later, if you don't want to make fun of me, I'm also happy to take hugs or high fives from anyone out there. When many of you heard the news of his passing, the community reached out and you all shared heartfelt messages. And I really wanted to thank you for all the texts and emails I received, and I just wanted to take a moment to share 3 of them. Brad always knew how to look on the bright side. He had an infectious smile and laugh. He made it easy to talk about the tough stuff, especially when advocating for our partners. Chastity, thank you for sharing. Brad was my friend, advocate, listening ear, and therapist at times. He always had kind words and encouraged me. Thank you, Summer. Brad was such a great person. Even when Brad had issues to escalate or had to address a mistake on our side, he always did it in a way that was both kind and constructive. That's probably why I'd always rush to his phone call whenever he reached out, morning, noon, or night. He was always such a great presence and really brightened my day when I had the chance to talk with him. I'm really going to miss him. Thank you, Mark. I really struggled with how to make a transition from sharing about the recent passing of a best friend and family member to a presentation that I want to be hopeful, fun, and uplifting. I think Brad would want us to keep moving forward and for me to embrace the positive energy of our channel community and the incredible support we provide for one another. And I know he'd wanted me to continue making fun of myself, tell some of my bad dad jokes, and pass along my thoughts with all of you about our business and the bright future ahead. Speaking of expressing my thoughts on our business, about 6 weeks ago, I had my annual full-blown existential crisis about what message to share with everyone today. My therapist recommended that I read a book called Learning to Love Midlife by Chip Conley to see if I could find a little inspiration. When most of us think of midlife, what's the first word that pops into your mind? I say midlife and you say? Yes, you guys got it. Thank you. Some of you might be thinking this guy is way past midlife, but you'd be wrong. Here's the good news. Sociologists studying aging have extended the range for midlife. It's now supposed to span from age 35 to 75, giving a solid 40-year window. And it might be a bit surprising to learn, for most people, the midlife years are usually more fulfilling and enjoyable than childhood and early adulthood. The so-called exciting years of adolescence and becoming an adult, well, the research shows they're often less satisfying by comparison. Back in our youth, some of us had those grand aspirations for the future. Some of us dreamed of being quarterback for the Raiders, which they still need, playing trumpet in the Tonight Show band, or marrying a wealthy princess and never working again. But if we didn't meet those lofty goals, we felt unfulfilled, and it could lead to all the D words: doubt, disappointment, and depression. But by the time we hit midlife, especially after 50, our expectations shift. And by shift, I mean we lower them. But guess what? By lowering those expectations, we often end up surpassing them and get more fulfillment. For the very few of you that have not yet hit 35 and are not yet in midlife, the good news is the best is yet to come. The research says midlife's going to be great, even though your knees or your hips might get replaced, your glasses are going to get thicker, the wrinkles will come, your hair's going to start falling out, and the medications are going to increase, but despite all that, you're going to be a happier person. I sometimes joke, when you hit your 50s, you wake up in the morning, you look in the mirror, and you're too blind to see the wrinkles or notice the thinning hair. Someone might yell at you, but you probably can't hear them. But if you do hear them, you probably can't remember why they were mad by the end of the day. So yeah, life will throw us plenty of curveballs, but even if we swing and totally miss, the science says we're more delighted. Now, we've all heard about those blue zones, places where people live significantly longer lives. What do they have in common? A healthy lifestyle, staying active, keeping their mind sharp, and more importantly, having a community to belong. A huge part of living to a ripe old age is being part of a healthy tribe. By the way, notice what's not on the list for a better, longer life. Selling your business, shutting down your brain, and retreating from your community. I'm not selling. But if you think about having decades of your life still ahead of you, it really could shift your perspective on the future. Just look at what you accomplished between kindergarten and high school or college. It's about 15 years, right? Maybe in that time you earned a degree, learned a new language, excelled at a couple of sports, or picked up a musical instrument. It's a lot to do in just 15 to 20 years. Imagine what you could pull off in the next 40 years. There's still so much time to learn, grow, and tackle new challenges. 40 years, you could even have multiple midlife crises. But the science says you'll be happier. And we've got so many examples of midlife reinventions out there. Bill Gates went from founding Microsoft to becoming one of the world's biggest philanthropists. Jeff Bezos left Wall Street to start Amazon, and somewhere along the way, he went from a nerdy tech guy to a buff dude building rockets. Vera Wang became a fashion designer at 40. Before that, she was a figure skater and an editor for Vogue. And George Clooney, I think he got married at 53, had a couple children, and made hundreds of millions with his tequila company. So that's midlife reinvention at its finest. I know it's easy to look at the obvious examples, but you don't have to be a unicorn or a genius. Almost everyone in this room has already reinvented themselves in one way or another, whether it's changing careers, becoming entrepreneurs, or making bold life choices. Sandler's own channel director, Michelle Johnson, she used to race motocross. And Courtney Morrow, she was a paramedic and now senior director of partner experience, but still saving people in a different way. And then we've got just a couple examples from our partner community. Jessica Dabbs was a deputy sheriff and now a star IT consultant. And Walter Thurman III, Super Bowl winning defensive back for the Seattle Seahawks Legion of Boom, now a cloud and IT procurement star and founder of charitable organization United Champions for Change. Our very own MC, Lindsay Janis, was an Emmy Award-winning journalist. Now she's building her own psychology practice. And I can't wait till later today when we get to hear the keynote from Rob Hale and learn about his journey. The point is, a lot of us still have plenty of tread left on our tires before we are to be recycled. That means more than enough times to learn new things and continue to build the life and business that you want. So, why am I talking about reinvention? Don't worry, I'm going to get to that in just a moment. But first, by a show of hands, how many of you, like me, have watched and loved some of these iconic movies? I need a lot of hands for this to work. How many of you have loved and watched? I think almost everyone loves at least some of these movies, but they really resonate with entrepreneurial salespeople. Why? Because these stories embody what author Joseph Campbell calls the hero's journey. The concept of the hero's journey is pretty straightforward, but let me share some fun examples from cinema just to walk you through it. Generally, our hero starts out as just an ordinary person, like a Luke Skywalker, Harry Potter, or Daniel LaRusso. Then something challenging happens to turn their life upside down. Could be the dark side, Voldemort, or some bullies. Suddenly, they're faced with a big challenge or quest, like the hobbits in Lord of the Rings, or Simba in The Lion King. At first, they might resist the call. They're scared, unsure, not ready to leave their comfort zone. The hobbits didn't exactly want to leave their shire, but then they meet a mentor, Gandalf, who gives them that nudge that they need. Our heroes, they leave their safe world, undergo a transformation, like Rocky transforming from a loan shark collector and a bum fighter to a champion, or Indiana Jones going from a skeptical professor to someone that believes in the power of the Ark. They face tests, meet allies and enemies, grow along the way. After overcoming the big challenge, they return with newfound wisdom, powers, or belief that they share or use for the benefit of others. Now, why the heck am I talking about midlife, the hero's journey, and all this psychobabble? Because it resonates with all of you. You are the protagonist of your own hero's journey. Every day, you step out of your comfort zone. You face rejection, embarrassment, and setbacks. You explain to your loved ones why the deal didn't close, why there's no big bonus this time, and sometimes you must justify why you can't go back to corporate America for a steady paycheck. And that's where Brené Brown's wisdom comes in. In her book, Daring Greatly, based on Teddy Roosevelt's famous speech, The Man in the Arena, she highlights the importance of vulnerability and taking risks. Vulnerability is not winning or losing. It's having the courage to show up when there's no control over the outcome. And if we're willing to embrace vulnerability and face failure head on, it actually builds greater resilience and self-esteem. You're out there in the arena every day trying to win business, and you're so lucky to get so many opportunities to build up your resilience. And I see the courage in all of you to keep showing up. When I look at the incredible logos popping up on our daily report, those Fortune 5000 companies and the thousands of small businesses you've locked in, I'm blown away. I find myself thinking, how in the world did you pull that off? You never stop amazing me. You are my heroes. But here's the tricky part for all heroes. There's no such thing as a steady state. There's no homeostasis. Just when Luke Skywalker, Peter Parker, Harry Potter, or Neo think everything's safe and sound in their world, bam, a new sequel drops, the world gets turned upside down, and the challenges start all over again. I know that feeling all too well. At Sandler, there's no steady state for us either. I find myself scared and tested pretty much every day. Thank goodness our courageous team members constantly taking risks and evolve to survive, grow, and stay competitive to support all of our partners. And for all of you, just when you've mastered selling voice and data, it becomes a commodity. Prices drop and new challenges arise. Then COVID hits, and suddenly you're thrown into the world of UCaaS and CCaaS for remote workers. As you're grappling with that, businesses are getting phished, hacked, and extorted. And more recently, customers are asking about productivity and AI. So now you've got to talk to your clients about cybersecurity, data centers, hyperscaling, messaging, and artificial intelligence. The stakes keep rising, and it seems like the game is constantly changing. But even with the constant changes, like the heroes in those stories, you can't give up. You have to keep growing and learning from every loss and rejection. Each battle against your own personal Darth Vader, Voldemort, lost opportunity, angry customer, or attempts to master continuing technology education makes you stronger, smarter, and more resilient. I'm sure some of you can guess where I'm headed with this. Yes, it is overwhelming to keep up with the new technologies, but there's never been a better time to be in this channel. You don't need a massive customer base to be successful anymore, because you're not just slinging circuits. You're an Avenger, a Marvel, a wizard, a superhero, or at least you have the possibility and the power to become one. A hero who masters cybersecurity, cloud compute, AI, messaging, data centers to help your clients. But before you embark on your latest odyssey, I hope you all agree the community that you choose for support is vital, and having the right mentor is at the top of the list. We've seen time and time again in the movies, the wrong guide can lead to disaster. Take Simba in The Lion King. He trusts Scar at first. In Batman Begin, Bruce Wayne believes in Ra's al Ghul. If you like romantic comedies like me, you might remember The Devil Wears Prada, where our hero Andy Sachs initially gets led astray by the ruthless and cutthroat Miranda Priestley. And if you're well into midlife, you remember Michael Douglas and Charlie Sheen in Wall Street. Bud follows the ruthless Gordon Gekko, whose greed is good mantra leads to Bud's downfall. Who are the Scars, Miranda Priestleys, and Gordon Gekkos of our world? Anyone guess what's coming next?
Private equity.
Yes. Private equity. I just had too much fun with this slide last year, so I brought it back. Now, don't worry, I'm not suggesting private equity guys who invested in our competitors are doing anything illegal or corrupt. They're just legally wringing every penny out of every deal as built into their DNA. I bring up the private equity folks with a little humor. Just to emphasize what I said last year, there are now two main choices in the channel. On the one side, you have all those TSDs that are accountable to generating ever higher revenue for either private vultures, Freudian slip, I mean private equity, or public shareholders. And on the other side, there's Sandler Partners, accountable to you, our selling partners, our provider partners, and our employee team members. Again, all our decision makers are in this room. But let me share a couple guesses, rumors, so I'm not sued, and innuendos without naming any names, because I admit the sarcastic 13-year-old boy that got his ear pulled in grammar is still here. Anyone remember an East Coast-based company started buying up and stacking agent bases? How did my notes get up there? That's my confidential notes. I think they talked about great potential upside selling in 3 to 5 years. I think it's been about 4 or 5 years, and I haven't heard much about a sale. If you want, maybe ask me later about the tricky situation they may soon be facing. A Midwest TSD sold a little over a year ago and had not one, but 2 huge layoffs. Many of the remaining employees and agents are not happy with the merged entity. And a couple of years ago, a TSD with one type of culture acquired another with a very different one. Recently, after the earnout period ended, there were significant repercussions for agents and employees. Lots of agents were dropped to a lower level of support, and some employees were let go, with 11 channel managers being declared redundant. I also heard the rumor about another CEO of another TSD who delivered some not-so-great messaging that really upset agents. From what I gathered, the intel in that presentation probably should have been more thoroughly scanned, especially given the source of the message. As a result, a few key members of their team decided to move on. Again, only rumors, innuendos, not naming names. Quite a few partners in this room have worked in the past with at least one of the other TSDs, and now you're with Sandler Partners today. It means you left the dark side and found your Dumbledore, Gandalf, Obi-Wan, Morpheus, you're Mr. Miyagi, and we're so grateful to have you here. Thank you. Lastly, it wouldn't be such an avant-garde surprise if 2 TSDs that attracted substantial private equity end up merging within the next 24 months or even sooner. If this happens, their combined size and volume will make them a formidable competitor. While the merger might cut headcount, many more people will be laid off, and boost profit margins for the private equity. It's not entirely clear to me how it would benefit our partners or our provider partners. While the potential merged company may be a solid competitor, I like our chances investing in tools, technology, people, and partners instead of short-term profits. Standing strong as the last bastion of humanity and extended family in this channel. And for those of you that didn't take a remedial summer school grammar class, the last sentence, standing strong, is a dangling participle. That doesn't mean for our team that it's easy. Believe me, we've faced monumental obstacles as we've grown Sandler Partners, but our team's constantly evolving hero's journey to compete with larger TSDs is a story for a different time. But bigger isn't always better. Luke Skywalker took on the Death Star with just a handful of fighter jets and R2-D2. And Rocky Balboa took down Mr. T and Drago. And let's not forget, one of the first famous hero journeys of David versus Goliath. If I recall correctly, the size advantage didn't work out so great for Goliath. But in all these hero journey movies, the protagonists don't just find mentors. It's critical they also find supporting advocates. Harry Potter had Dumbledore's army for support. Frodo Baggins had the Fellowship of the Ring for protection. And in Hunger Games, Katniss Everdeen had the rebellion at her side. You've got Sandler commissions, legal, tech and innovation, engineering, finance, marketing, partner services, all watching your back. So just a couple highlights and comments. I really wish I had more time, but earlier this year, our legal department recovered $1.4 million for 467 partners, resolving a 3-year difference of opinion that we had with a carrier. Sandler was the only TSD that noticed the affected commissions and had the correct language in our agreement to protect our partners. 60% of the partners that received the recovered commissions were not even aware they were owed. If you receive some of this recovery, your badge is green, and the average recovery for the agents in this room affected received $5,000. Separately from legal, our commissions department proactively, without agents raising their hand, opened commission tickets for 4,290 partners and recovered over $1.6 million just since last year's summit. The 4,290 was the number of partners that we opened tickets for, but the total commission tickets opened by the team since last year was 79,666 as of a week ago. So it's probably past 80,000 now in 1 year. And the all-time recovery, thank you, has blown past $20 million. Inside joke from last year, it's a lot of chocolate. Today and tomorrow, the agenda has sessions on Sandler Partners' industry's best tools and resources located in our portal, including commissions tracking, Scout, Solutions Finder, Scout for Solutions, and our Marketing Center. If you're not familiar with them, please either attend those sessions, book time to meet with Corson or Denise, or go to the monthly trainings online. And after touring the tools and resources, if you think any other TSD has a better tool or feature that will result in substantial business, find Caesar, Denise, your channel director, or me, and if we agree, we'll have it built by next year's summit, if not sooner. Tony Stark had a company to fund his powerful Iron Man armor development. If you need financial fuel to fund your next business or personal journey, ask your channel director about our Pay Me Now deal buyout program or our loans secured by commissions programs. Batman had Wayne Industry to help create his amazing weapon systems designed to increase productivity for an army of one, like many of you, and provide security for the people he was trying to protect. But I don't think he had access to some of the coolest cybersecurity protection, disaster recovery, video surveillance monitoring, AI, cloud compute, and productivity messaging tools that you can access from the brilliant providers in our portfolio. And I think we used more amazing tools and services than Batman because he didn't have access to the Sandler channel directors, partner experience, or the sales engineering team that guided so many of you through the most complex and substantial deals in our history. On this slide are just a few of the many 5, 6, and even 7-figure monthly recurring million-dollar deals that were sold with the help of the providers here at the event this week. And while some voice and bandwidth was involved, more of the revenue came from hyperscalers, data centers, cybersecurity, messaging, cloud compute, help desk, and AI. And one big note, don't be scared about how to learn and sell AI. My guess is only a few of us are going to sell much pure play, standalone AI in the next year. What we have sold already, and you'll continue to sell, are the amazing providers in our portfolio that have added AI to their offerings to make them more compelling and valuable to your clients. Hundreds of billions of dollars of opportunity to learn about over the next couple of days. Selling partners, remember, not all our providers were invited here to this exclusive summit. Less than a third of the portfolio were asked to participate. So this is a little confusing, but over the past year, 2,400 partners brought business to the providers in this room, but only 375 of the attendees have sold their offerings. What that means is nearly 2/3 of you in the room have yet to tap into the providers that 2,400 of your peers already did. Thank you, providers, for supporting our partners at this event. We couldn't do it without you. And here's something else I think you'll find impressive: the power, the magic, the force of the partners in this room today. Since last year's summit, our core group of over 3,300 partners booked orders generating more than $30 million in monthly revenue. If you assume conservatively that the average deal is 3 years, that monthly revenue translates to over $1 billion in future provider revenue. But of that $1 billion, 70%, over $700 million in future revenue, was brought in by partners that are in this room today. So providers, don't miss the chance to meet these partners this week, become their mentors and hero support for all the services that they haven't yet brought to their clients. $30 million in new monthly recurring revenue and growing 20% this year to $36 million. All I can say to everyone out there, you guys are crushing it. The Sandler team is honored to be your wizard, the armorer, and the blacksmith to your knight in shining armor. Because everyone loves a hero that overcomes adversity. I've been talking about movie heroes a lot today, and so I had to get just one brief clip from Avengers Endgame of the ultimate heroes getting back up after getting knocked down.
Captain's down. Can you hear me? On your left.
That always gets me pumped up. I don't know if everyone heard, but Dr. Strange says, "Is that everyone?" He says, "You want more?" What I say is, if Dr. Strange needs any more heroes, he should just come to our summit and meet all of you. So my mentor role today is the nudge to send you off on another journey, one of many in your future. And unlike the movie sequels, each one of yours can get better and better. But there are other gurus here at the summit, far more capable than me. And we don't want you to have to trek for hours and years across planets and galaxies like the Hobbit or Luke Skywalker to gain knowledge, support, and training. That's why we've gathered all the mentors, tools, and army of supporters that you need to meet the challenges ahead right here under one roof. All you have to do is walk down the hall to bond with each other, attend panels and breakouts, ask questions, and join conversations with providers. Think about it. You'll be building new relationships while using your mind to learn. The type of things the studies say help you live longer while feeling more fulfilled. But most importantly, if you're in this room today, you're part of our extended Sandler family. And when it comes to family, I think of Brad. Nicole and Joe Felino wrote, Brad was a truly remarkable man. He helped us in so many ways. We don't think he even realized how much he inspired all of us. I knew that was going to happen. And never expected or asked for anything in return. Truly just a selfless person that lit up an entire room when he walked in it. We know you're with God now, and your memory will live on with all of us forever. Rest in peace. Brad helped give me the courage to be vulnerable, to put myself out there, to get bloodied and get up and out of whatever gully that I fell into. But I also knew if I needed, he would jump down in the gully with me. Whether you come back to our summit every year or just in 2032 to confirm that I kept my promise, the Sandler team will be here, still be here to support you in your journey. And if you happen to become stuck in a gully of your own, we'll be down there with you, ready to get through any challenge together. Hopefully with some laughs along the way and maybe some tears. The whole Sandler team is grateful for everyone in this room. And I say it every year, without you, our business doesn't exist. Thank you for all you do with us, and I hope we make this the best summit ever. Thank you.